All right, so everyone knows Angelina Jolie, right? I mean, the movies, the headlines, the whole bit.
Oh yeah, she's definitely made a mark.
We're going deeper today.
Deeper?
Yeah, using this biography. It's called Tomb.pdf.
Okay, taking a deep dive. I like it.
We're going to figure out, like, how Angelina Jolie became Angelina Jolie. And it's a wild ride, let me tell you.
I bet. Her life story's got to be more interesting than any action film.
More interesting. It's not even a competition.
Hmm.
But it all starts, back in the beginning, childhood. Born in Los Angeles, 1975, daughter of John Voight.
Hollywood royalty.
You'd think, right? Like instant path to fame and fortune.
Set for life.
But Jolie's early life, it was a little messy. Not exactly a smooth ride.
Is that right?
Yeah, the biography talks about this tough relationship she had with her father. And she was mostly raised by her mom, Marceline Bertrand.
So not the picture-perfect Hollywood upbringing.
Not even close. And you really get this sense from the book, like, Jolie always felt like she was on the outside looking in, like she didn't quite belong, battled with depression even, and self-harm.
Wow, that's heavy stuff. Especially for someone so young. I mean, those early experiences, they can really shape a person.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. Even in those, like, really dark times, you can see these little glimpses of, the Angelina Jolie she'd become.
But what do you mean?
Well, the biography mentions this early fascination she had with, how do I put this? The darker side of things.
Darker side? Like what? Horror movies?
Not exactly. It's more like she was drawn to stories and images that most kids wouldn't even want to think about. The intense stuff. Raw emotions.
Interesting. So like seeking out those unfiltered experiences through art.
Exactly. Almost like this pull toward the unconventional was always there.
I see. Makes you think, right? Like how much of who we are is already there from the start.
It's nature versus nurture, the age-old question. But okay, so then comes Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. Big-time acting school, right?
Definitely a launching pad for a lot of successful actors.
And even there, Jolie stood out. She wasn't just going through the motions. It was like she needed to dive deep into the psychology of every character.
I could see that. She's always struck me as an actress who really embodies her roles.
Right. It's not just acting, it's transforming.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, there's Beverly Hills High School. You'd think she'd finally fit in there. I mean, surrounded by Hollywood kids.
Future stars in the making.
Right. But the bio says she still felt like an outsider.
Didn't really click with the whole scene.
It speaks volumes about her, though. Even then, she had this strong sense of self. Like, she wasn't going to compromise who she was just to be popular.
It really makes you reconsider that whole wild child label that gets slapped on her later.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it wasn't just rebellion. Maybe it was about staying true to herself.
Exactly. Refusing to be put in a box. This independent streak, it's a constant in her life.
And in Hollywood, that could definitely ruffle some feathers.
Oh, for sure. But speaking of Hollywood, let's talk about her career, that rise to stardom. We all remember, like, Hackers, Foxfire.
The cult classics.
But for me, it was Gia. That HBO biopic about Gia Karangi, it was dark. It was raw.
Really showed her range, that one.
It was like, okay, this woman can act. She's not just a pretty face. And then boom, girl, interrupted.
Lisa Rowe, intense role.
Powerful performance, wins the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. I mean, come on, that's solidifying your place in Hollywood.
No doubt about it. But at the same time, this whole wild child image really starts to take off.
The tattoos, her openness about her bisexuality, talking about her struggles, it was all pretty out there for Hollywood, especially for women.
It definitely pushed boundaries. You have to wonder if a male actor doing the same things would have gotten the same reaction.
Probably not. It definitely highlights that double standard that still exists in the industry.
Sadly, yeah. And then, well, there's the Billy Bob Thornton era. I mean, who could forget the Blood Vials?
The Blood Vials. Early 2000s. Gotta love it. I mean, you gotta admit, it was a statement.
Definitely got people talking. Bold, for sure. Maybe not the most hygienic, but hey.
And then everything changes. 2001, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. It was huge. But it wasn't just the movie itself, It was Cambodia.
Ah, yes. That's when things take a turn.
Filming in Cambodia, it was a wake-up call for her. Seeing those humanitarian crises firsthand, the poverty, the refugees.
A turning point.
It wasn't just a celebrity attaching their name to a cause for some good PR. She becomes a goodwill ambassador for UNHCR.
UNHCR.
United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
Yeah.
And she's not just like showing up for a photo op, she's in it. Serious field work in some of the toughest places on the planet.
Wow, I didn't realize she was that involved. That's impressive.
She really went all in, like actually making a difference.
It's pretty remarkable, that shift. From Hollywood starlet to, like, global advocate. And it wasn't just a one-time thing either.
No, it kept going. Got even deeper over time.
It became a part of her, who she is.
And then in 2013, well, she makes this decision that really shakes things up. Writes that op-ed in the New York Times.
Oh, you mean the one about her double mastectomy?
That's the one. Incredibly brave, I think, to be that open, that vulnerable.
Especially when you're in the public eye like she is, it's not easy to share something so personal.
Not at all. But she had discovered she carried the BRCA1 gene mutation, and, well, that significantly increases the risk of breast and ovarian cancer.
Right, and her family history, losing her mother, her grandmother, her aunt to cancer.
It's heavy stuff. But for those who might not know, what exactly is BRCA1?
It's a gene, basically. It helps repair DNA damage. Like, it's supposed to suppress tumor growth, but when it's mutated, well, it can't do its job as effectively.
So the risk of developing certain types of cancer goes way up.
Exactly. And Jolie, knowing all this, she decides to take action, be proactive.
And that op-ed, it really sparked a global conversation. Suddenly, everyone's talking about BRCA1 genetic testing.
So many women were inspired to get tested themselves, consider their options.
It was a huge turning point. Awareness went through the roof.
That's the power of using your platform for good. She could have kept it private.
But she chose to share her story. And that decision, it empowered countless others.
Absolutely. And then a couple of years later, she goes even further, has surgery to remove her ovaries and fallopian tubes to reduce the risk even more.
Again, such a personal choice.
But it really showed her commitment to her health, to living a full life.
And through it all, she's so open about the process, the challenges, physically, emotionally, the impact.
Yeah, it solidified her as a real health advocate, a role model for women facing these tough decisions.
And all this time, she's still working, acting, directing, juggling motherhood, humanitarian work. It's amazing.
Speaking of acting, have you seen the Maria biopic?
I have. It's getting a lot of buzz.
Her portrayal of Maria Callas, it's just, wow. Critics are raving, saying it's nuanced, moving, all that.
And she didn't just show up and act. She did intensive opera training to really become Callas.
That's dedication.
It's a reminder of how talented she is, that commitment to her craft.
And let's not forget, she directs, too. Without Blood, based on that Alessandro Barrico novel, came out earlier this year.
I haven't seen it yet. What's it about?
Trauma, revenge, healing. Really heavy themes.
Sounds intense. There's definitely a pattern there, like in her work, exploring those complex emotions.
That resilience in the face of adversity.
Like she's drawn to stories that connect with her own experiences. Makes sense.
And then there's the blockbusters, too, like Maleficent, Dark Realms, the third one. Should be out next year sometime.
Oh, yeah, and she's got The Kept coming up as well.
A period drama. She plays a mother seeking revenge.
It's really amazing, her range. From big budget to smaller, more character-driven stuff. And directing, too.
Right. Unbroken, a new chapter.
Sequel to her 2014 film.
People are excited about that one.
And on top of all that, she's working on a documentary about refugees.
Makes sense. With her work with UNHCR, she's seen it firsthand.
This one, it's going to be powerful. Trust me. It's clear she's committed to using her voice to amplify those stories, the people who are often marginalized.
Absolutely. And she's not just sticking to film. There's Atelier Jolie, too.
Her fashion brand.
Launched in 2024.
And it's not your typical celeb clothing line. This is about sustainability, ethical practices.
Empowering artisans who are underrepresented.
She's putting her money where her mouth is. High-quality materials, fair labor practices, working directly with artisans globally.
It's a refreshing take, especially in an industry that's often, criticized for its impact.
Right, both environmentally and socially.
People want to know where their clothes come from, who made them. They want to support brands that are transparent, ethical.
And Atelier Jolie is tapping into that. But let's be real, all of this, the creative work, the activism, it's happening while she's dealing with the fallout from her divorce from Brad Pitt.
It's been a rough few years.
And she's been open about the toll it's taken.
Talking about loneliness, the challenges of single parenthood, the custody battle.
It's a good reminder that even with fame and fortune, life can still be messy.
It's human. We all go through it. And her willingness to be vulnerable about it, that's what makes her relatable.
Exactly. She's not pretending to be perfect. And while Brad's moved on with Ines de Ramon, there have been these rumors about Jolie and the British rapper Akala.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
They've been seen together, and they both do a lot of humanitarian work.
It's all speculation right now. But her recent appearances, She just seems, I don't know, happier, more confident.
It seems like she's finding her footing again, focusing on her kids, her work, using her platform to make a difference. It's pretty wild when you think about it. I mean, her life, it's not exactly what you'd expect.
No, not at all. Definitely not your average celebrity story. Constantly changing, breaking the mold.
And she makes you question those assumptions, like what we think we know about celebrities.
Yeah, she's not just an actress.
Or
a director. Or, just a humanitarian.
Is all of it at the same time. And she owns it, too. Doesn't shy away from, the messiness of life.
That's what makes her so interesting, I think. That she's like this A-list star, but also just human.
Real. Open about her struggles. Makes her way more relatable.
It's that authenticity. People connect with that. She's not trying to sell this perfect image,
She's just being herself, sharing the whole journey, ups and downs and all. So, I'm curious, after going through all of this, what stands out to you? Like the biggest takeaway from her story?
For me, it's got to be that commitment to using her platform to, actually make a difference.
Right. Whether it's those refugee camps, raising awareness about women's health, even sustainable fashion.
She's always pushing for something bigger than herself.
It's pretty inspiring, honestly, especially with all that fame and fortune to still focus on, helping others.
And it's not just lip service either. She's really in it. Traveling to those conflict zones, meeting refugees, getting her hands dirty.
Something right about how we're using our own platforms, whatever they may be, to contribute, I guess.
It's a good question. We might not all have millions of followers or be able to just hop on a plane to a war zone.
But we can all do something. Use our voices, our skills, our resources, even in small ways.
Exactly. Make the world a little bit better. That's what she reminds us, I think. We all have that power, no matter who we are.
It's her story, still unfolding, Makes you wonder what's next.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what she does next. What causes she takes on, what stories she tells.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the life of Angelina Jolie. Hope you enjoyed the ride.
And hey, if you want to keep exploring, there's so much out there. Watch one of her films, maybe Girl Interrupted Again, or that new Maria biopic.
Check out UNHCR. Learn about what they're doing for refugees.
Maybe even look into BRCA1, genetic testing.
All that.
Whatever grabs your attention, just keep learning, keep digging.
Keep diving deep.
Until next time, thanks for listening.